Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at The Prisoner, Issue 1. This is from Titan Comics 2018. Now there have been Prisoner comics before, but not for a while. If you don't know what The Prisoner is, it is a TV series from I think 1967, and it starred Patrick McGoon as a secret agent who retired / quit, and then he was taken to this place called The Village, and it was a very surreal, strange show with a lot of metaphors and innuendos and hidden meanings behind every single thing. It was a very weird show, and they had these weather balloons that were called rovers that would roll around and grab people that tried to escape and return them to the village. It was incredibly psychedelic and had a lot of subtext and meaning that is still talked about today, and it's definitely got a lot of underlying themes to it, from identity to consumerism, materialism, your place in the world, that sort of thing. That being said, this book is a little different. This is written by Peter Milligan, art by Colin Lorimer, colorist Joanna LaFluente, letters by Simon Boland, and edited with original plot by David Leitch. Now this time we actually start out knowing the name of the main character, which in the original TV series, his name was never said. There were aliases that he used that were said, and it was alluded to that because Patrick McGoon was in it, it was a sequel to Danger Man and Secret Agent, and one of the co-creators said that that was true, but McGoon always said no, that he would never say who the prisoner's name actually is. This time we actually have a different, somewhat less mysterious origin. We have a secret agent known as Breen, who is on the run from the government. I believe he's a British agent. They reference MI5 quite a bit, and he has something called the Pandora, and he's on the run. He runs into a guy playing chess, which is a metaphor that you'll see in the TV series if you go back and look, and he dyes his hair and changes his clothes, knocks the chess man out, and takes off, goes running to a cottage that he rents out through Airbnb to millennials occasionally, but he's certain that they know about it. Now he works for something called the Unit, which is obviously a spy agency. He is aware of something called the Village, which is this sort of overseeing super secret community. Well, he gets gassed while he's in there, and while he's passing out from the gas, he relives what led to all of this, him being on the run and all that. And it was only 6 days ago that he was out with an agent named Carrie, who was a woman that he was sexually involved with, but maybe not relationship wise. So they go on the run, but she disappears during the evac, so she doesn't get out from the look of it. So he made it back without her, escaped the Middle East. It was obviously the Middle East, but these people, there was some unidentified organization that was chasing them, and he doesn't think they were locals. He thinks they were somebody else, and that's when we see that his handler, who's known as Section, points out that there are things missing. There's something called the Legrand K that turned up missing, Einstein's brain turned up missing, and behind was left these little number 5s, Roman numeral 5s. Now we understand that the section chief wants Breen to infiltrate the village and eliminate Carrie. It's not a rescue mission, it's an assassination. And he is not okay with that. So he goes out to the pub and says, I'm out. This is too weird. He's been having like surreal visions, like there's something monstrously surreal, he says, just beyond your vision, and he doesn't care. He's through, and he says it a little too loudly. He knows he's followed from the pub. The next day he's in Scotland trying to infiltrate this place to steal something called the Pandora, and it's in a box. He opens the box. Just when he sees whatever's in the box, we don't actually see it. We're drawn back to the present where he is being gassed. He wakes up and he is wearing the suit jacket and chocolate pants of the people that live in the village. And he is in the village, and it is really well done. The art is actually pretty good, considering this is a very small company. They did reference that one other prisoner had escaped the village, but it says he was driven mad, and that's really all that's said about it. They don't say if that was related to the original series or not, but since we know this guy's name and he doesn't really look like Patrick McGoon, we're gonna have to assume that he is probably someone else. He really doesn't match any of the physical attributes, which they could have used. And he is sort of pictured. There is during a hallucination scene, they show a guy that looks like the original prisoner, number 6. This is a much different take on the storyline. It's a little less of a internal analysis or metaphor for something else and more of a straightforward spy story from the look of it. Issue 2 might be completely different, to prove me wrong, but for now, this is exceedingly different than the premise of the show, where we started out not knowing anything about the guy. He's just being interrogated and he's trying to retain his sanity while in the facility of the village, whatever the village actually is. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes, but I'm a little disappointed they didn't just start out with him waking up in the village and then we learn more about him as it goes. This felt a little too much like a straightforward spy story as opposed to a more mysterious, surreal event, almost like an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, like the original series did. Knowing some background about number 6, I guess, does provide some context, and that's probably what they were going for, but I'm not sure. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I don't know how much I'm going to like it since it deviates so heavily from the original. But I'm willing to give it a chance. So I'm actually going to say this was a good spy story, but I don't know how well it's going to translate as a prisoner story. If you like the original series, I think you're going to be a little disappointed by what you find here. I don't think you'll hate it, but I don't think you're going to like it as much as the Patrick McGoohan series, because that had a much more surreal, mysterious aspect to it that I think is lacking in this one so far. I'm willing to give it another couple of issues to see where it goes. It may come out to be a very interesting read nonetheless, an alternate take, if you will, and I'm willing to give it that chance. So I'm going to recommend this. If you like espionage or action type stuff, spy stuff, you might like it. If you're a diehard Prisoner fan, you're probably not going to like it, but I think it's got potential to give an alternate take and not necessarily the same as the original 60s version. I think it's going to be an interesting new perspective on it, and I don't think it's going to be comparable with the original. It's going to be something different entirely, and I'm willing to give it a chance on that. So I'm going to recommend this, but that'll do it for me. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. Be sure and hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and we hope to see you on the next one.